Gustavo.
Hey Ken, how's it going?
Eccobe. Tjande putuna.
Yeah, the tuna.
Ere. Ere kukatupe.
Serei cockatoo.
Ah. Dere kukatu. Ai kukatu. Ai kukatu. Kukatu.
Oh, like cockatoo.
Ai kukatu. Xere kukatu. A minha vida boa. A minha boa vida. My good life. Xere kukatu. Reko is like the participle. It's like the noun form of iko. Shireko, my life, my existence, maybe. Let's see. How has your weekend been? It's Monday now. Was it good?
Yeah, I mean, lots of things going on, but it was really good. It was really good.
Oh
Went
yeah.
out to pasta championship.
Whoa. Pasta
That
championship?
that was a really weird thing to go to, but it was so fun.
That's pretty interesting. Like, were they making the pasta live?
Um, my fiance was one of the participants, so they made pasta and then like people was they voted on the best pasta. You
Yeah.
know, she got second place, and it was really fun.
That's so cool. Wow, you're a lucky man.
Yeah, I am.
Second place in the pasta competition. Wow. Well, I'll have to try it next time I go to Spiritu Santo. That will be my request. I want to try the second place pasta. I'll pay top dollar for it.
Yeah, man, it's a good dish, really.
Is your
The
fiance
name
a
of the dish.
chef in a
Hmm?
restaurant or something, or just happens to be good at making pasta?
Oh no, she's just a really good cook. I mean, she really got the hang of it.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, I have some novelties today for you. This might be a personal class. How's Tupi been for you? It's been a while since you'd spoken Tupi or studied, or you've been studying pretty regularly.
Yeah, this week I haven't been able to study quite a lot because I've been like remodeling some things in the room. So yeah, getting the house like tidy up. So I was doing a lot of woodworking
Nice.
and studying lots of other things and didn't get like time to do as usually I did, and I'm missing it so much. I think I haven't shown you. I have a tiny book that I write the lessons
I
that I
think
do
you
on
showed
the.
me that book once. Yeah, I haven't seen the inside of it. I don't know what it looks like on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, let me try to get it
Let me see.
right.
Make your picture bigger.
Oh, is it going to be stable here? I think it is. Okay, so I do like some tiny drawings,
Ah, that's so cool.
and I think it's
Tupiancino.
inverted. So
No,
at least
it's.
for me,
I'm
for
reading
me.
it. That's awesome. Oh my god, the
So
Akangatara.
I can get that. So I'm getting this like tiny drawings here, all over the place in the lessons, and like a lot of things written, the verbs
That's
and nouns.
so
I kind of
cool. You're
I
gonna
like
have
that.
to. Wow, you're gonna have to take a picture, some high quality scans of this when you're done. This would be such a cool resource for people.
Yeah, I went to. I mean, there's some exercises and things I.
I'll tell you what, Gustavo. If the second I get to publish a book, I'll contract you as my illustrator. That's you've proven yourself. That
I would be honored, really.
would be awesome.
This one I think is
Oh
one
my
of the
god, look
best.
at this. This is awesome. Wow. This is
I like
awesome.
that one a lot, and those
Yeah, that's
those
a
native
classic.
things.
I love this. This is so cool. The
Yeah,
guys
so
on
it's
the
fun. And
boat.
this one too, the casaca, instrumento from
Oh, that's
Tupiniquim.
that. Yeah, I know what that is. That's cool. That's so awesome. Wow, I had no idea. I love that you're. I love that you're using the theme of Tupi. What got you inspired to, like, incorporate this in your art so much? I saw a painting. Now I see your drawings and stuff. Seems like you're going through a kind of
A
like an
Tupi face.
indigenous romanticist phase of your art, if I will.
Yeah, I always portray like nature and all this stuff. So I started studying about colonialism in
Uh huh.
Brazil with the intent of doing some research, visual research on things that got like uh, taken wrong. So uh, what I think my end goal is, and I think I'm far away from it, but in the right path, is to show people like not a romantic view, but a romantic in the right way. Because uh, most of the images we have from paintings and all of this stuff, they're romantic in the wrong way, not the true. Uh, I think I'm trying to be uh, the realism, like in the meaning of it, like the realist that got like all the work from workers into paintings and all the cotidiano, or
Mm-hmm.
how can I say this,
The daily
like
life.
yeah, daily life of the common worker. So they got this into painting, and I think I'm trying to do this, like with the unjust that they made.
I see.
Uh,
I would say you're trying to decolonize it. Trying to decolonize this kind of art form of painting
yeah,
the
quite like
colonial
this.
period. Decolonize the colonial period. That's an interesting
Yeah,
way
because
to put
most
it.
of the paintings, hello, Matos.
Hey, Mateos.
Um,
Hello, guys.
Ekube.
yeah, most of the paintings are such like in an European point of view
Yeah.
of like weird people doing weird stuff, and I want to portray this as like they would, like how would
Right.
they do
Right.
this, and so learn to be is a way to understand how would they uh portray this,
Totally.
and get into how were they thinking in the 16th century. So
Yeah. That's a great way is learning through Tupi, and it's tough too because we have to look through this lens, especially like when you look at this dictionary that I have in front of us. It's really Jesuit. Like the stuff we're
yeah,
reading is from a European lens. It was made to specifically give a European lens to an indigenous person. So having to deconstruct that is a part of the process for sure. And it's interesting. Hey Bianca, um, Ekube, Tiande Putuna. It's basically I'm working with some other people in the computation lab in USP, and they're trying to make like a quiz, like my quiz. It's just a guy doing his master's thesis and stuff, and so I've been helping him out with giving some content and stuff, and so I gave him some extracts that I had. I just showed it to him off use, and he went and used them to make a quiz, and he comes back to me and he says, "Oh, the quiz is pretty good. We did it with some speakers of Guarani and whatever to see if they could learn the Tupi easily or something." He did some tests with it, and he was like, "But there's a problem. It comes back. It's so machista. Why is it like this?" Like, and I was like, he's like, "Why did you give me this data?" And I was like, "Listen, this
that's
is."
what we have.
I'm like, it is machista. Like that's what it is. That's what this study is, and that's the thing is like you gotta be able to look at the text, interpret it for what it was, and then be able to decolonize that in your own mind and be able to like see past what they were actually saying and maybe what was more truthful and what was more real. And I think that's what you're trying to do in your paintings, right? You're trying to interpret the European perspective in a new way, right? To try and get a more fair representation of what happened.
Yeah, because we have to work with their data. So well, the indigenous people didn't write. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's what we have,
It's tough.
and but we do have them today, and the memories of the
It's true.
people
Yeah.
that are like long gone, and stories like incredible stories. I was hearing about that story from this Guarani um, chief. So he was talking about how his uh, grandmother or grandmother, I don't know, but how she was talking to the Tupiniquim
Uh huh.
about where should they go now, like their land was taken, and she was like on a quest until she found the Tupiniquim people, and and well, it was really funny to see like two people like from different places come together, like, hey, let's try to do it right, and the same relationship with the quilombolas here too. So I think that's some interesting things that
Right.
I want to portray to, like, this handshake between nations.
Yeah, that all makes sense. It's really cool. I love the notebook. It's super awesome. I guess you want to show it to everyone now that there's more people here, or do you want to? I guess they could see it in the recording later. You can feel free to show it if you want. Everyone, take a look at this. These are his notes for class. Everyone, step up your game. This is your competition. This guy. Go ahead, Bianca. Oh, it's a clap. There we go.
It's
He's
not competition.
I'm kidding.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I'm doing the thing that Navarro. I like how Navarro takes his book through a journey.
Yeah.
So you start in the bay, so it's basically
Right.
Enseada. Then we go to the Caravela. So I started here in the bay,
So cool.
got through a bit. Let's see if there are illustrations here. I got here through some behavior and things and music and all of this stuff. The they seen the caravelas right here. So it's quite a story being told, from
100%.
like colonization story being told right here, like while learning. So I think it's a really fun way to learn. So I like to stay in tune with Navarro's book because of that.
Awesome.
Alongside all the content you're
Definitely.
publishing.
And Mateos likes to translate songs into Tupi, songs that he likes. Uh, Everyone has their own little thing that they do. I like to program it into code. We all use our skills to enrich the Tupi learning experience. And without further ado, why don't we start the class? Let's start learning about Tupi. I'll give you some more content to fill that book up with. Um, in the past couple days, I've made some advancements on composition. So composition in Tupi is, let's go here. Let's go into the grammar, the beautiful grammar. Um, Composition is something that I would put under the adjective thing, but you can do this with nouns too. You can do this with other things, but it's kind of like you have a determinancy and a determinado, and I never remember which one is which. So I like to say you have a noun and you have an adjective. So if I want to say that woman is beautiful, right? The adjective here, beautiful, is being applied to the noun woman, right? The woman is beautiful. But what if I say she is a beautiful woman? Now the noun is being applied to she, and the beautiful is modifying this noun. You see the difference here? It's a difference of using it with a verb, she is beautiful, versus she is a beautiful woman. Now we have it as an adjective in composition, right? And so in Portuguese, we would put it at the end, right? Uma mulher linda, bonita, something like that. In English, we put it before. In Tupi, it gets stuck, it gets fused onto the other verb. So here's an example. Here you have Cunha e porang. Cunha e porang. That woman is beautiful, right? We're using it as a verb here, no A at the end. Porang means beautiful. Cunha means woman. Cunha Ipuranga. That woman is beautiful. Second class verb, right? So this is a stative verb. She's in the state of beauty, the state of beleza. Beleza. And so the other way we could say that is like I cunha poranga, right? So now we're saying she is a woman that is beautiful. So the cunha poranga becomes one new root that means beautiful woman. And so the adjective is in composition with cunha. Here it looks separate, but just imagine that they're stuck. I'll fix that actually. So I wrote down the step-by-step process on how to do that, and I put some examples. So let's test to see. This will be my first test. I haven't gotten any feedback on it, even though I asked some people for some feedback. But this topic of compositions, at least in my opinion, maybe you've seen it defined before, Mateos, but I've never actually seen it defined in a book, like in a process. Like these are the steps you go through to do the composition of adjectives and nouns. Like at least in Navajo's text, at least when I see it, it's like there's a little information here and a little information there and a little information here, and you kind of got to read the whole book to get it. Have you seen that in other places, Mateos? Because I was trying to find it, I just couldn't.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember how Lemos Barbosa shows that. Maybe sometimes he tries to put everything together, but I don't know if he did with the composition. But maybe I'll check it out and then I'll tell you guys.
Yeah, I'm curious because I don't know how to check my work on this. I've just been kind of showing people, and so far nobody has found any issues, but hopefully they do, because I'm sure there are issues. Can't get everything right the first time. So let's learn this, and we'll hope there's no issues in it. So here's some terminology I want to define in this process. Basically, in this process, we are going to have the base root, which is the noun, okay? And then we're going to have a modifying root. So that root is modifying the base root, and that's the adjective. So when we add those two things together, they're going to end up in a composition. Most of the time, in most of the cases, you can just stick them together, right? Like cunha porang, nothing changed here. We just stuck them together and it was good. But there's some cases where you can't, and that's the theme of Tupi. So we have oral consonants. These are all of these pa, ba, ta, sa, sha, ka, ra, wa, ya, So even the semi-vowels, those are considered oral consonants, okay? Then we have nasal consonants. Ma, na, nga, nya. So this nya is the same thing as this ya. It's just the nasal version. Record that into your memory. It's one of the only places you see an H. There's a couple other words with H, but they're very few. And then ba and da. Ba and da are the same as ma and na, but they count as nasal sources. They create nasality, even though technically they're oral forms of them. Then we have tonic oral values or oral vowels, right? So when the tone is on it, a, e, I, u, o, u. And then we have the non-tonic version, which is very straightforward. It's the same thing, just like Portuguese. And then we've got the nasal vowels, which are all of the vowels with the til, with the til on top. So now that we've defined these basic terminologies, this is the step-by-step process that we have to take in order to make sure that we can properly stick these two words together. So the first step number 1, if the base root ends in a tonic oral vowel, if you click on any of these little things, it'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So you don't have to question, what's a tonic oral vowel? You just click on it, and you see all of the tonic oral vowels. You say, okay, those are the tonic oral vowels. Let me remember that. So if the base root ends in a tonic oral vowel, like yuka, see, yuka ends in that a, yuka. And we want to add katu. So yuka means murder, right? And katu means well. So I'm going to murder you well. Really weird. I just chose these for their sonic values. Maybe I'll change these soon. I use yuka way too much. It's just the first thing that comes to my head. So yukakatu, all you have to do is replace that last tonic vowel with the non-tonic version. Pretty easy. Becomes yukakatu. Pretty, very, very basic and straightforward. Um, now, the second case is if there is an encounter of oral consonants, right? And so what that means is if the last one here is K and the last one here is P, Tupi doesn't like that. You can't put kpa, pakpa, spukpa. Like English, we say world and we don't give a shit, right? But Tupi, you can't do that. You can't have an encounter of oral consonants, or any consonants for that matter. So what happens when there's an encounter of consonants is the one on the base root just goes away, just like that. So you just remove the base roots ending consonant. So that ends up looking like kutuk poshu, which poshu means bad, dishonest, mean. It's a negative thing, and then kutuk is the espetar. So it's a mean stabbing, right? It's like becomes an adverb, right? I say adjective, but it could be an adverb too. You can think of these as adjectives or adverbs. All you're doing is creating a new root. That root that you create can still be used the same way as a verb or a noun or an adjective, however you want. It's just a new root. That's all we're doing here. So kutuk poshu becomes kutuposhu. Kutuposhu. Just like that. Now, the third rule that we have to consider, if the base root ends in any consonant, so when I say that, I mean the oral consonants or the nasal consonants, any consonant, and the modifier starts with the glottal stop, like ung, right? This ung means sombra, shade. Kutuk ung, so a shaded stab. I don't know what that would mean. I need to get better examples. I made this at like 2 a.m. last night. We'll get better examples here. But it's just to show you the phonetic way that it goes. All you do is you get rid of the glottal stop if there's a consonant there. If it's a vowel, you just leave it and you just stick it together. The vowel, you don't have to worry about it. So kutukung. Kutuk-ung, kutukung. Just like that. The next case. If the base root ends in any nasal sound, so this includes nasal consonants or nasal vowels, okay? Any nasal sound, and then the modifier, it starts with a consonant. So you're trying to do a nasal sound plus a consonant. This one has the most steps out of all of them. This is the most complicated case, but it's not that complicated once you see the steps. Like, they make sense linguistically. So let's go through each of them. And you can ask a question whenever you want. So these are the steps you have to consider in the case that you have a nasal vowel at the end, like this, nyan, or not just a vowel, but also a consonant. And then this starts with any consonant. It could be nasal or oral. So nasal, consonant, together. So what happens is if this vowel here, the final vowel in the root, doesn't already have a till, you put the till on. So nyan, mishud becomes nyamishud. And this N also falls off, and I explain that in a later rule. So if the base root ends in this semivowel, right? This actually acts a little different just because it looks ugly for us to write it with this semivowel. So what happens is this means pepper. Ku'unya, 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 ku'unya. In reality, right, just like in Portuguese, this u becomes nasalized just because it's next to the nya. The nya is a source of nasality, right? Like amanhã, amanhã. You don't actually write nasal over all of the ahs in that word, but they are nasal. So the same thing happens here, and then mirim means small, pequeno. So little pepper. You want to say little pepper? You would say ku'un mirim. So what happens is this basically just turns into this. And then the nasality goes into the vowel, right? And that's the same thing that happens here. So all of these have the same steps. You nasalize the Y because it's next to a source of nasality, and then you turn this into a ya. Or if it's any other consonant, then you just get rid of them. This is the only one that it leaves its oral version behind when it becomes nasalized, right? So we still want to represent that semi-vowel sound because it's still there. But the other consonants like ma, na, nga, ba, and da, which actually these two don't ever appear at the end of a word, but whatever. They're there. Those ones just go away. So, for example, if I want to say a little word, nyaenga meeting, a small word, a little talk, something like that, you'd say nyaeng meeting. See, this ng basically just becomes the nasality of the e. Nyaeng meeting. You just delete it. And then the last case is if the word you're attaching to isn't already a nasal root, right? We have this concept of nasality. If a root has a nasal letter in it, it's already nasal. So when you go to nasalize things, it doesn't affect it. Whereas if you have a root that has no nasals in it, the first letter of that root, if it's one of these four letters, will go through a minor change. And it just follows this. So here's some examples. Let's look at this in practice. So, nyaeng ends in a nasal, and this starts with a P, which we see is in this table. So what we do is the nyaeng, the N goes up into the E, and this goes away. And then the P becomes nasal into a MB. So nyaeng poshu, when you say it in composition, is nyaeng boshu. Nyaeng poshu, right? And so that would be like a bad, maybe a curse, a bad word, a pejorative, a mean word, right? Curse. That's bad. That's how we create new words in Tupi with composition. It helps a lot. The K becomes an NG. So, nyeeng katu, right? It looks like the K is just disappearing, but that's not what's happening. Right? Because I just showed you the steps. What's happening is the NG is going up into the E here, and that's nasalizing, and then the K is going to nasalize into an NG, right? So it's nyeengatu, and the NG is still coming. This is still a K. It's still a katu, right? It's just in a nasal environment. Let's take a look at this case. So, nyeeng, so T becomes ND. So this one says nyeeng. The NG goes up into the E, becomes nasalized. And then the T, are we going to turn this into an ND? No, it's nyeengting. 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 You know why? Because it already has an NG. It's already a nasal vowel. And so that's what I wrote here in this warning. Ting does not become ding in composition because the nasal letter NG, these are all the nasal letters, is already present in the modifier root. So you don't have to do this process when it already has a nasal in there. That's how you combine adjectives. In any other case that doesn't match any of these cases, like if it ends in a vowel or something, you just put them together. That's it. You just put them together, no problem. So that's the end of the lesson. It might have been a lot of information. Let's check in. How do you guys feel about that? Was it straightforward, or do you have some questions?
Well, it's a bit like it's a bit too much to get in the brain, like
Yeah.
this in this time, but it was straightforward. The explanation was fine. It was really good.
Yeah. So just like with this, I mean, it's tough to like know exactly how it works. So I created this playground where you can like modify words using my code live, and we can try to look at how these work, right? And so if you ever have a doubt, and you get used to these just like anything in the language, as you use compositions and stuff, you get used to it a little bit more. But if we want to put in like a word, nyeeng, if you want to make a composition, or nyeenga, either one, you type in a hyphen and then you put the second word. It says error because I don't have a second word, but poshu, right? And then this will do the composition logic for you. So if you're ever in doubt and you're like, oh, I think it's this, but I don't think it's this, and you want to do some exercises, where you're putting two words together for compositions and you're not sure, you can put them together on paper and then you can use this to test yourself. And you can put them in here and say, oh, did I get that right? Did I get this right? Did I get that right? And then you can see why you got it right or why not. For example, if I put just an N in here, you see that it goes away. It doesn't do the nasalization because this root would technically be considered nasal. So yeah, this is like a little playground thing. I encourage you guys to use it a little bit. It's right here in this tools section, tools playground. It's also on the home page of the grammar here, not of the grammar, but of my dictionary here. Right here it says playground. You can click here to get to it faster. But yeah, so if we want to make some words, let's try some things. Bianca, can you please give me? You're still here, right? Can you please give me? I don't know, something you want to say in Tupi. Let's try to translate anything, a noun and an adjective, just something simple or anything. Let's try to do this together to see how it works.
A noun and adjective. A friendly dog.
Friendly dog. Okay, that's great. So let's go into our dictionary. Let's do this. Dog will be cachorro. We're gonna look for that. Cachorro. Do they register dog in here? Is it cão? There it is, cão. Okay, yaguara. You can notice they have yaguara and yaguamimbaba. Yaguamimbaba. So this is an example of like, okay, we take yaguara and mimbaba means like a pet. So I guess this would be your answer right here. We use the composition between emimbaba, and yaguara to create friendly dog. But if we wanted to find something else, I don't know. How would you guys translate gentil? Matuete, coisa agradável, right? Coisa bela. Maybe that could be good. Matuete. How would you do friendly, Mateus?
Good question. I don't know.
Simpático.
Maybe we could use something from also para. I don't know.
I like that. Let's just use the other one that I saw right there that was gentil. It was like this. Matuete, coisa agradável. So let's do cachorro, coisa agradável. So cachorro is yaguara. And then this one would be matuete. So in this case, basically when you're doing the composition, you just automatically you use the root form, not the noun form. So the A, the non-tonic A just goes away. Don't consider it when you're doing the compositions. And this is the root form, right? The non-tonic A just means that it's a substantivo, that it's a noun. So in this case, we have a consonant here, and we have a consonant here. What was our rule when we have an encounter of consonants? How do we resolve that? We're not allowed to have an encounter of consonants. So we either have to add something or take something away. Let me start sharing my full screen. I think I always share the tab, but then when I want to switch my tab and show you something else, it doesn't really help me in that situation. All right, let's duplicate this and let's go into the grammar. So we have jaguar and matuete. Go into the grammar, check out the adjectives, the composition rules, and we see that if there is an encounter of oral consonants, then what happens is you take it away. I think this needs to be any consonants. Maybe this is a hole that I have. Let's see. Let's test the library now. Go to the playground. We'll take this. Yeah, see? This is a case that I think Jaguar matuete. I think I didn't cover this case. So I think in this case, right, Mateos, we should just delete the R.
Yeah.
So this is the usefulness of having a computational library is that all I have to do is update my code and then all of this is going to update too. All my grammar is going to update too. I don't have to rewrite it. It's pretty nice. So yeah, so instead of saying oral consonants here, it should be all consonants. If there's an encounter of an oral consonant, or any two consonants really, then you move that. So that's how we would do that. And so we would say Yagua matuete. Dog, coisa agradável, or elegant, or nice dog. So that's how you would do that. Yagua matuete. Let's try another one. So let's try let's try va plus ting. You want to try that one, Gustavo?
Well, I think it just joins up. Abating.
Abatinga. Like just the way it is?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look.
That's what I think.
Go to the playground and check our work. And abatinga. The one thing is you gotta take away this, right? This tonic. It loses its tone. That's the only thing that happens. But that's mostly a writing thing. But yeah, if you see, if we take away the tone, it looks completely different, right? So aba and aba in composition look completely different. Aba, which is hair, right? If I put this aba, if I want to say white hair or clear hair, blonde hair, ating. This is what the composition looks like. That's blonde hair. Because the B goes away because there's an encounter between the B and the T. Whereas if I put the tonic A, then it stays there. The word looks completely different. Abating. So that's how you know once you start using adjectives, it becomes really easy to tell these similar words apart because they look really different once you start combining them. Abating and ating. That's how you can tell the difference between them. Pretty interesting. How do we feel about the quiz, the grammar quiz? I always like doing this at the end of class. Have we been practicing this? This has been a useful exercise. I swear, guys, if you use this quiz, even if you feel like you're messing it up in the beginning, like you just do this for a little while, you're just gonna know how to conjugate. You don't even know why you know. You're just gonna know. You're just gonna be like, oh, that makes sense. Let's see. Ore a e oroi peok. Oroi peok. So peok looks like the verb. To me, this looks like an object. This looks like a prefix. So oro I peok. I know this is indicative. All right, who wants to give me the subject?
Ore.
Ore. And who wants to give me the object?
Wait, I think I messed up.
Did you?
I don't know, I'm confused.
So we have ore a e oroi peok. Can you guys see the screen? Let me try and make it bigger. Is that better? Oroi peok. We got ore, and then the object is gonna be. You got it. It's this one. Okay, so we have peok. Ahankara kaska. Descascar. So we're de-shelling, I guess. De-gloving, something like that. Ore a e oroi peok. We are, right? A e could be like I don't know. Abitin, abati could be corn, right? Oro, ore, ae, oroipe ok. Oroipe ok. We're taking that off. Useful. Let's check the next one. Nde erei moyar. Nde erei moyar. That's pretty good. Nde erei moyar. All right, I got the first one. Indicativo. What is the subject in this case?
Subject is inde.
Okay. And the object?
Well, yeah.
Yeah? Let's see. Muito bom, muito bom. All right, molhar means pregar, colar, solder, soldar, grudar. De irei molhar. Você se gruda. Something like that. This is the reflexive one, right? This object, yeah. So you're saying you do that to yourself. Yande oro a papa umbira. Wow, that's it. Wow, look at that. Yande oro. I think this one doesn't make sense. Let's not look at that one. That was a bad idea with yande and ende. That doesn't make any sense. I need to get rid of that from the quiz. Yande yayo munyangupe. Munyangupu. That's pretty good. What does this one mean? We got what's the mode? This one's hard. I want to teach you guys more moods. But you guys have to dominate the indicative before we can move on. There's 4 more. Maybe here's a good idea. How about the homework is you guys have to send me the end screen to show me your score. Just play it once throughout the week until the next lesson. Just once at least. And then send me the score in the group chat. Be like, look, I got this score. I learned these words. That'll be fun. Share with everyone the words that you got in the quiz because it's all super random. All right, so the subject, yande, ya. When you see yande and ya in like, okay, the yande is here and it's on the verb, you already know that that's the subject. It's yande, right? It's like it's so matching. It's so useful. So ya is always going to be, well, yeah, we won't get into that. But ya is always going to be yande. And then yo, obviously is the mutual one, right? So yande yo monyangupu. We are introducing ourselves to each other, right? I introduce myself to you, you introduce yourself to me. And then that's a nice one. And it literally means fazer primeiro. It literally means this means to make, fazer, monyang, and upu means primeiro, to make first. I guess it's like to make a first impression. That's pretty interesting. I've never seen this before. This is a cool word. I like it. I'm gonna start using it. Monyangupu. Monyangupu. Yande yayo monyangupu. Yande yayo monyangupu. I love it. That's awesome. All right. Next one. Let's try this one. So, Bianca, what are the subject and the object here?
Could you show me the options?
Yes.
Just to make sure I don't mess it up.
Here are the options.
What is the
Yeah. Nice. And what is the object?
I'm gonna say pet too.
Pe as well. All right, let's try it out. All right. Technically, you're right. Actually, because pe when you're trying to refer to the same thing, you use this yeah. So I will give you that point. You want to be able to recognize that this is the object. So pe, when it's stuck to the verb, you're gonna have this pe as part of the subject, and then you're going to have this ye as the object. So the ye is a reflexive object. So technically, it's the same thing as saying pe and pe are the same object. And I actually is how I used to have the quiz. I used to have it so if you put pe, that meant the ye. But I thought it was more direct to just define the ye here. So you're right. Good job. And what does this verb mean? Puter, chupar. Oh, that's funny. So this means kiss. It means kiss as well. You can use yuru puter, puter. It's a weird one. Yuru is boca. It's mouth. So yuru puter is mouth kiss, right? I guess puter is just to suck. So pe puter. Kiss yourself. Go kiss yourself. That's basically what it says. I don't want to kiss you. Kiss yourself. Pepe peter. Yourselves, I guess. Interesting. All right, we got 11 out of 15. I thought that's pretty good. I like that one. We can stop the quiz from there. So we learned about composition. We practiced the quizzes a little bit. I showed you guys my playground. This should be really useful for you guys. This playground is like, now that we have this abating, you notice we have some different suffixes and prefixes, and I haven't taught you all of these yet, but we'll just say like, okay, I want to put this prefix here. Now it's abatinga. Now it became a noun. Before it was a second class verb, abating, right? Which is to be a white man. Abating means white man, or clear man or something like that. And then abatinga, we mean that. And you can remove it. And let's see, what does it look like to put the saba? Okay. Oh, it looks abatingab. Abatingaba. Abatingaba. Here we go. So this is a way that you guys can kind of just start to create. Oh, the Remy doesn't like it to go in that order. Abatingasada. Oh, yeah. The A has to go last. This is a rule of Tupi. This A always goes at the very last step. This, as we call it, a noun creator. This noun creating suffix. So we can say abatingapar, right? We're starting adding this in different suffixes. So this is an interesting tool that you guys can use. It'll get better over time. You can say if it's pluriform or transitive or second class. Which doesn't change it. You could put she in front of it, right? If it was pluriform, it would get the R. That's the difference, see? You can see the difference. Oh, if it was pluriform, it would have an R. If it's not, it doesn't. She rabating, she abating. Interesting. All right. Did you guys get a chance to look at the book that I sent, the children's book? You read it at all?
Yeah, read it. So there were some words someone pointed that like I haven't seen before. I didn't know like it was from Yinga 2 or something, but they told it in the chat. So
yeah, totally.
But it was really fun.
Yeah, it's from Yinga 2. It's from a guy that I've heard his name spoken in groups before of people that learn Yinga 2. Some people don't like his work. Some people respect it, but you know it's cool. I love it, and I think it would be a cool exercise to try and convert these words into Tupi. You know, like Sheava inde Carauba Seran. That's, you know, he wrote it differently, but that's like a perfectly fine Tupi Antigo sentence. Sheava, I'm Indio, right? That's what he wrote in the book. I'm Indio. Inde Carauba, you are a man, and this is Anchieta's word, right? Homem branco, you're a white man. Serán, this serán in Tupi, so I'll write it in the chat here. Serán. This is a way of asking like a yes or no question in Tupi. Serán, you're a white man, right? Like that. Serán, yeah? No? Yeah? Serán. So you can see here he wrote it, but the difference is he doesn't have it nasalized. He just wrote será. Then the next line says, Si inde Carauba marampenderera. If you are a white man, what is your name? Marampenderera. This is exactly the same as we say in Tupi Antigo. Marampe derera. How do you call yourself? Maram. Oof. It's not giving me the option. Marampe derera. Marampe. Maram means como, how. Marampe is like a question. Marampe. How? Como? Derera. Your name. Xerera Kian. Derera Gustavo. Derera Bianca. Derera Mateus. Marampenderera. So the interesting thing I want to point out in the beginning of this is he says, Si se inde Caraíba, if you are, you know this si comes from Portuguese. He literally wrote Si inde Caraíba. If you are, he literally just took the Tupi words and he used the si from Portuguese, and I don't study Nyingatu, so I'm not able to say whether or not that's like a common thing that happens in Nyingatu. But I think it's so interesting the way that, you know, in his book he chose to just use the Portuguese grammar mixed with some Tupi grammar, and it's pretty cool that way, isn't it?
In Nyingatu, it's somewhat common to have this. I watched some documentaries that some people spoke Nyingatu, and it was really fun because like the Morubishaba, he was like talking about the mission they were doing, like to collect some stuff for a ritual, and it was really weird ritual that, but like really fun to watch. And he just said meio-dia out of nowhere. It was talking like tupi, and out of nowhere, and meio-dia.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, in Guarani they call that jopara, which is like the mixture between Spanish and Guarani. And in a lot of societies like that, you get that, right? In bilingual societies, people end up like speaking on a spectrum. Nobody speaks purely one way or the other. There's always some spectrum between it. So it's interesting because we're such purists when we study Tupi Antigo that it's interesting to see the Nyingatu version where they're just like, oh yeah, make it easy. Just put the Portuguese C. It's so much easier than Inde Caraíba me, right? But then I noticed in other places, he actually still used a structure that looks similar to Tupi Antigo. So for example, he had, let me see. Marampe. Here it is. She sai subura aramen. She anyeeng asal subinde. That's very cute. Let me type that in here for you. She sai subura aramen. Oh, I wasn't even typing that anymore. Sai sabura aramen. She sai sabura aramen. She anyeeng asal subinde. What does that mean? Can anyone guess what that means? I guess probably not. I'll just break it down for you. If you want to guess, you can interrupt me. Shesa saibura aramen. When I'm in love, quando estou apaixonado. So this aramen, like to me, I don't know about you, Mateus, but it feels like emi, the suffix that we have in Tupi Antigo, which means like in the case of.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You feel that
I think
too?
it is too.
Yeah, it feels like emi, which we have in Tupi Antigo. So this emi is the form that I would have guessed him to use in this line above it, where he says si inde Caraíba, right? He could have used this emi grammar here, but instead he chose to use a Portuguese word to express the same idea. I think that's really interesting. Just to think about those choices that he made. And then he says, so, she sai sabura aramen, if I'm in love with you, She anyeeng asal subinde. Then I say I love you. When I fall in love with you, I say I love you. Right? She anyeeng, I say, ishe anyeeng. Asal sub inde. And this completely changes the grammar that we use in Tupi because we wouldn't say asal subende. We would say she oro al subi. She oro al subi, right? That's how I'm teaching you. But in Yengatu, they're like, no, this is too hard. It's too much. We'll just keep the third person form. And in the place of the third person object, we'll use the second person pronoun. So asal subende is easier to say than she oro al subi. And the other thing to note is that nyeeng is not a transitive verb in Tupi-Anchigo. She anyeeng asal subende. I can't say I say this to you using this form in Tupi-Anchigo. We can't do that. Whereas in Nyingatu, they say, who gives a shit about these rules? You understand what I'm saying? She anyeeng asal subende. I say I love you, right? That's completely fine in Nyingatu. So I guess I gave you all this lesson with intense grammar about Tupi-Anchigo, and then I showed you this book, and I'm like, yeah, Nyingatu is way easier. I don't see why you would continue taking my classes at the end of this. You'll be like, screw this, I'm gonna go study with Yaguare Yama. It's so much easier than Tupi-Anchigo. But it's interesting how studying this old language of Tupi-Anchigo, which had so much influence on other languages and had such a fundamentally, I don't know, sound grammar written about it, it gives us the ability to dissect the Nyingatu, right? Like, I've never studied Nyingatu, but when I read these sentences, it's completely, I understand it completely. Even though it's breaking the grammar that I learned, I understand exactly what it's saying. So, yeah, pretty cool. It's pretty cool to study Tupi because then you train your brain on the hard stuff. And when you go to read the easy stuff, it's like, oh, this stuff is nothing. I'll talk in Nyingatu all day.
I feel it's like when someone learns about Latin or I don't know an old language like Greek or Latin, and then he learns like Spanish or Portuguese or Italian.
Yeah, definitely. It becomes so much easier because you have a basis and you say, oh, I see where this comes from. And then the other things you say, this is foreign. This is from Portuguese. This is different, you know. This is not Tupi. But yeah, that's the class. Anyone want to make any remarks, comments, questions? If not, I bid you farewell. Have a wonderful Monday night, and I'll post this video online soon. And until next week, ciao, valeu, falou.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Night.